This is one of the entrances to the Lenzie Moss Nature Reserve off Lenzie Station. And this section here was at one time an old railway siding that ran down to the peat works. The ruins of the building are still visible, and peat was taken away from there and distributed to all the sites that it was required. This is Lenzie Moss Nature Reserve between Croy and Bishopbriggs, not far from Glasgow in Scotland. This section here of the moss has had extensive birch removal. The birch scrub has been threatening to take over the moss entirely. The moss here was used in the wars where they collected sphagnum moss for use with bandaging. There are also extensive peat workings here at one time. The area now has been saved from building and has been established possibly as a local nature reserve. This shows the birch woodland that have not controlled to take over the moss. This ditch within the birch woodland shows a typical growth of sphagnum mosses, and the brown water that you associate with bogs and their runoff from peaty areas, rich in humic acids, so the acidity determining the sort of plants that grow here. So the understory here is dominated with blaeberry, whortleberry, a small shrub. There are other species here. Here's a small rowan tree. But the woodland biodiversity here is very consistent. Almost like a clonal situation. Example of a tree with witch's broom growths on it. This is a birch tree. Witch's broom can be caused by bacteria, certain types of fungi, and also simply by physical damage. What you're getting is just an overgrowth of the buds. So bud upon bud, producing this swelling. The legends are that they're caused by the witches at Halloween, where their brooms touch the tree, this growth would appear. In the section of the reserve near the railway, there are patches of wood sorrel, Oxalis aceticella, sometimes called shamrock, erroneously, because it looks like the leaves of the clover. We also have the unfurling fronds, or the broad buckler, a fern that can be identified from the scales that are on its stem. Not far from the railway are some abandoned ruins. You can see where acetylene torches have cut away the metal superstructure. Appears to be a sort of engine block base here, or certainly the base of a large piece of machinery. And the central area seems to be some sort of pit, a sort of holding pit. So whether this is in some way associated with the previous peat workings on the site is not clear.